All right, we'll get started with our Ferris State weekend. I think based on reviewing both games back and what I shared with you guys after Friday's game and Saturday's game, I would stand firm on my comments at that time. I thought we did a lot of good things both nights. After playing well and winning on Saturday night, it gives you a reason to be sick to your stomach to let a game away on Friday night that I really thought in many ways we should have won. And so I look at our team and kind of assess where we are. And while we're at 2-4, we could be 5-1, 4-2 for sure. And so that gives us optimism, and yet at the same time kind of features some of the struggles that we had and the impact they had on winning games. And so we look at our team and we say defensively, we've done a real good job. Our goals against is at like 2. I think in 4 of our 6 games we've given up 2 or less goals, and you'd think you'd win those games, and we've only won 1 of 3, or 1 of 4, and lost 3 of them. Our penalty kill has been very good at 92% efficiency, and that's going to be a hard number to maintain, but that's what we're going to work towards. Being in that 88 to 90 range is an objective for us. And if we can maintain that low goals against average, it certainly gives us an opportunity to be in every game we play. It's no surprise that the area that we've got to continue to get better is our offensive productivity. And when I say productivity, I'm real specific with that because I think our offensive play has been better all season long. It's progressing. We're getting more scoring chances. So it's not a matter of searching for scoring chances. It's converting scoring chances because Friday night we had tons of them. Saturday night we had tons of them. Prior weekend we had lots of them in both games against BU and UMass Lowell. I thought our UMass games, same thing. We had plenty of scoring chances to win. So it's really getting over that hump and converting those scoring chances. So that'll be a continued focal point for us. We go and play on the road against a team that's very skilled. They play on a big sheet of ice. They have the potential to explode offensively. They've struggled in games, a couple games defensively. And it'll be an interesting test for us to play this team at this time in this location. So as we look ahead, we lost 3 guys to injury, and whether or not they'll be back, I don't know before we travel. We lost Ryan Keller in the first shift of the game Saturday night, upper body. We lost Pavlik, you guys know about, and he's kind of day-to-day, coming back from a concussion. And we lost Tanner Sorensen to upper body injury. So all 3 of those guys are kind of nursing along. Pav's going to skate today. He biked yesterday, didn't have any headaches, so the next step is to have a little more hockey-related activity and skate and see how he feels. So that's where we're at. And I'm out of election day tidbits, so stay away from that.
Tom, I mean, one of the things that this program has been trying to do is build together quality and good weekends with 2 games. How, when you get a weekend like the Ferris weekend, how much does that go towards getting some of that consistency you want when you see the chances and the maybe not the results with the split, but with the chances at least growing and effort continually getting better?
Well, generally speaking, all season so far I've been pleased with our effort. For the most part, I've been pleased with the number of quality scoring chances we've generated in pretty much every game. I think this past weekend, when you combine the 2 games, it's the most that we've had by far. Like I said Friday night after the game, I thought in every major hockey statistical category, with the exception of goals in the game and block shots, I thought we dominated the others and didn't get a result. So our message after the game to the guys was do the same. Let's tweak a couple areas. Let's see if we can get some garbage goals to get us started. And ironically, the goal that started everything skipped in from the blue line. so it kind of got the monkey off the back. But in terms of getting scoring chances, I think it's been pretty good all season long, and it continues to build. Converting scoring chances is where we have to do a better job, and we'll continue to focus on that.
Can I ask you the same question I asked Antonio at our third press conference today? Who's the actor that did the football movie with the great speech about the inches? What's Any Given Sunday?
That's Al Pacino, isn't
Al
it?
Pacino. He talks about.
He played somebody other than Michael Corleone?
Yeah. I know that's your favorite movie. But I have not seen it, as a matter of fact. Anyway, he gave that great speech about winning the inches. And that's what you're talking about. I mean, D'Antoni talks about that a lot, too. The differences in these games sometimes is winning the inches, isn't it?
It is. We just talked about it in our team meeting yesterday and the coaching staff meeting right before I came in here about those inches and trying to find ways to find them. And in the game today, our game today, and so many tight games that you play, the inches could be space on the ice that you're fighting for, to get in front of the net, to get in front of the goalie. Funny quick story yesterday, we've been really emphasizing get in front of the goalie's vision. So yesterday we worked out on a particular drill, and you got Mike Ferrantino standing in front of Ed Minnie. And Ed Minnie's a head taller than him. I said, come on, Tino, figure a way. Anyway, that's way off topic. But, and the other inches are getting a better power play, maintaining your penalty kill at a high ratio. So those can be the small inches in the difference of a game. So you're right on, Fred, and we were just talking about it, and it will continue to be a focus because I think it's that will get us over the hump.
Tom, you talked about the penalty kill. What specifically do you like about what you're doing this year? What's working well?
There's a couple things. I think we have more guys in the mix right now, which is important because we don't want to get guys too much ice time where fatigue will become a factor. And when fatigue's a factor, decision-making's a factor. It starts to diminish your ability to think clearly, quickly. And like in the game Saturday night, I thought Ferris made some nice changes from Friday night that we had to adjust to, and we did a good job adjusting to those. And having more guys in the mix allows us more flexibility. I think we have more experience, So your defense are a real important part of the penalty kill. Your goalie's maybe the most important part of the penalty kill. And so in Hildy's case, he made some big stops at important times. And so all of those things so far have been solid, and we have to keep that because that allows you to have some flexibility in as many one-goal games as the game is played today, and we're in particular. It takes a little pressure off knowing that you take a penalty for whatever reason, you got a high probability to kill it. So not that we want to take lots of penalties, but at the same time, we think it's really important to have a good penalty kill. And so we're off to a good start. Now the question is, can we sustain that?
You're playing 6 guys, right?
Yeah, I'd like to have 7 guys, maybe even an 8th guy, because as an example, Keller's been one of them. Right now he's out. I don't know if he'll play on the weekend. This past weekend, guys who took penalties were guys that killed penalties, and so that inhibits you a little bit. And so I'd like to build that as deep as we can. If we could have 8 guys, that would be great. It was interesting to study UNH a little bit. Their penalty kill is exceptional. It's been really good all season, and they play more than that on the penalty kill up front. Yeah, so when you can do that and you have that kind of flexibility, that's a nice liberty to have.
Liberty, I get that. New Hampshire, it's very beautiful. You mentioned about the inches, and Saturday night you talked a lot about how Friday night those inches were in between the goalie and in the pipes and where shots were going. How do you coach that? How do you get guys to maybe alter their shots to different spots, and how do guys do that mentally when they're in the flow of a game?
Well, there's a number of ways that we're trying to approach it. One is call it to their attention, and we're using video to show them little instances on decisions that we made or where we shot pucks, or when shots were good shots, when shots maybe could have been better. we're talking about showing them and drilling them every day on both the shooting aspect and where to get to. So, for example, today we're going to show guys examples. We did a better job of getting in the front of the net, but we could still do a way better job of making it more difficult for the goaltender. Oftentimes shots were coming and we were off to the side of the goalie where he can see it, where we want to make it more difficult for him to see. At the same time, we want shots to come in so they're tippable shots. You know, they don't hit the guy who's screening right in the stomach. They're shots that are typical. The goalie's going to have to work harder to find and harder to stop and control the rebound. And that's a bigger issue. And then you got to get bodies to work into that area. It's, you know, all you guys are congested right here. Well, we need somebody to go work their way in and plant right between you. And that takes a little bit of work, you know. And so those are things that we'll drill every day in different ways.
Jake Hildebrand had, you know, arguably statistically one of his best 4-game stretches of his career the past couple games. So can you talk about him and his progression this season compared to last and where you see him going in the coming months?
Well, we had high expectations for him, and statistically, what I want to see in the 4-game stretch for him, because he's worked so hard and he deserves it, is I want that one category to be wins, you know, not just save percentage and goals against average. I want it to be wins. That's an important measurable statistic, and I'm sure he wants to see that number increase too. So, excuse me, that's a team number, obviously, as well. So, coming into the season, we expected him to be our number one goaltender. We expected him to play with consistency. I thought he was okay the first 2 games, but I think he hit his stride in Game 3 and since that time, and we expect him to stay at that level all season.
Coach, can you talk about some of the adjustments you're going to have to make playing on the big sheet this weekend?
You know, it's and all the coaches that I've spoken to that have a lot of international experience or have played a lot on that sheet, they kind of underplay it and say, you know, sometimes people make a lot more of it than it is. And so we're trying to keep it in perspective, and we've tried to do that the last few years because Minnesota plays on the same type of sheet, Northern Michigan plays on the same type of sheet, and we've had success, a little bit of success in both of those places in terms of our quality of play. And in the end, the length of the rink is the same and the space between the dots is the same. So we're focusing on that area, and not to say there aren't things strategically you do and keep in mind beyond that area. And we'll call to our guys' attention. We'll have a chance to skate Thursday night and then Friday pregame out there. Certainly, they're going to be way more familiar with that surface, playing on it every day than we are. But we're not going to try to build more into it than it is. I think one of the bigger adjustments you have is when the goal line is situated that much further away. Like Minnesota has a lot of space between their goal line and the end boards. That becomes a little different dynamic to play than maybe the space outside the dot. So we'll be conscious of that and talk about that and work on that a little bit when we're out there.
It's kind of a dovetail question off that, going the other way. Can you talk about how Williams adjusted to the smaller ice in terms of coming from an international background and playing in smaller rinks? How has he been adjusting now as a sophomore?
I think his game is evolving and continues to evolve based on last season. I think when we started last season, the game was really kind of moving up and down, and not so much in a controlled manner. It's not just the ice surface, but their game, maybe in part because of the ice surface, was more puck possession and controlled than when he started here. There was a lot of pucks going in and out and back and forth, and it was kind of moving kind of quick. But I think he's adjusted pretty well. I think he's adjusted to the space. He's still going to be a puck possession type of player, and that's the kind of game we want to play as a team. You just have a little less space in certain areas to be able to do that. It still gets pretty crowded in front of the net. It still gets pretty crowded in parts of the rink between the dots. Sometimes outside of that area is where you have a little more space and a little bit more time, and I think he's played some of his best games on the bigger sheet, and I wouldn't think that would be very surprising given he's played most of his life on it.
Coach, you only have 2 games here at home in the month of November. How important is it for you and your team to establish a road identity and get some success on the road?
I think it's important. I think it's important for us to, not just for this season, but to develop that mentality. And I don't know what I was thinking when we were doing the scheduling, but we are going to go through this little stretch here. So it gives us an opportunity to play some good teams on the road. And, we only have the one game back here against BC coming up, but it's important when you go on the road to have a mentality that you're going to have success, and we have to go earn that. And we know we're capable of having success and playing on the road. I think we played 2 good teams already this season on the road. We played them tough. Now we got to take that next step and get the positive results that we desire to get.
First trip to New Hampshire since '82. You're on that team, right? You're a sophomore that year?
I was. We went there, no, I think it was my freshman year. We went there as in the NCAA tournament. That was the first, my first season, and we played in the old rink. They play in a new rink now, and I haven't been there. I watched my daughter play there one time. That's the only game I've seen in the rink, but it's a real nice rink. It's much like this rink, but it's got a real big sheet ice. So when we went, I can't remember. This is going to really date me, but I'm not 100% sure they had glass back then when we played. They might have had like fencing or something on mesh or something. I don't know why. I don't think that was the case, but it was a while ago. That was a while ago. Yeah, the goalies were wearing masks back then. But that was a big deal for us back then because I don't remember the date that MSU was last in the NCAA tournament, but that was a big deal. That was a big turning point for the program, making the NCAA tournament. And back then, not many teams, like for us to get in, we had to win the CCHA tournament that year. And so that was a big deal. And they had, I remember Andy Brickley was their big gun at the time. He now does the color commentary for the Bruins. And he was a really good player. And I remember my roommate got knocked out in warm-ups and didn't get to play in the game, Dan Beatty. He got a concussion in warm-ups. Those are the things that I remember. I don't remember if there was chickenware or whatever. Yeah, teammate. I know we lost the series though, so we didn't advance.
Was it 2-game total goals?
Yeah, 2-game total goals back then.
Coach, can you talk about John Drager's weekend coming back from injury, and how do you think he's progressed since coming back?
It went well. We decided on Friday we were going to kind of spoon feed him. Not because that's what he wanted, but because we didn't want to overdo it with him. And in looking back a year ago, I think he moved along too fast. And so the first period, we kind of had, I think I mentioned to you guys, we kind of had a pitch count mentality that we said, well, we're going to give him up to this many shifts in period 1. And after period 2, we kind of assessed it, same thing. And then in period 3, we just kind of assessed his body of work to that point and said, hey, let's give him what he can handle. And he played a full game and thought played pretty well. And so after talking with him on Saturday morning, he felt pretty good. His confidence level was where we hoped it would be. And so we thought, okay, well, we're just going to approach this as a regular game and kind of go from there. And that's what we did. And I thought he had a good opening weekend for him, something to build on for sure. It's nice to have him back. Yes, he did. He had a good skate yesterday, and I think he's feeling pretty good. And so hopefully he just continues to build his conditioning, it's kind of his hockey conditioning base and his confidence level.
The big question is, the calendar flipped to November. When will you be growing your mustache back?
Is that now?
I believe it is Movember.
Movember. Yeah, good awareness. A lot of awareness for men, right? We came out of the month for women, breast cancer, and now for men. So I'll do my part.
Sounds like Friday was one of the tougher losses you've had here.
Friday, it was disappointing playing as well as I thought we played, and scratching and clawing to have success. Because again, I think our team has worked really hard, and you want to see guys gain confidence, and you only gain confidence if you have some success. And so I give the guys tons of credit for the approach on Saturday night, because that was a tough pill to swallow Friday night. It's kind of like, doggone it, what's it going to take? And we knew we were going to play a really good goalie, so we knew the puck wasn't going to go in easy. But, gosh, I think we had almost 80 attempts. You know, we outshot them, I don't know what it was, 38 to 16 or 18 or something like that. And we had real quality. It wasn't like just peripheral shots. We had real quality scoring chances, and we just couldn't solve them. So, you know, sometimes good goaltenders win games like that, but we need to get some wins. So it was disappointing. I've had some disappointing losses, but this was a different kind of disappointment because you want the team to gain confidence, and you think, you know, here's games. Again, I really believe our team, if we scored any at all on our power play, and if we were scoring some goals at a reasonable rate, given the scoring chances that we've generated, we should be 4-2 or 5-1. And that would help guys' confidence. That helped the team's confidence. That would get us right in the national mix. That would give us a lot to build on. And so we got to keep grinding through it. And it was frustrating to come out of that where we were. But again, to our guys' credit, we responded the next night. So that was something to boost our confidence, and hopefully we can build on that here in New Hampshire.
Did you recognize when you vote?
Pardon me?
Did you recognize when you vote?
Oh, I don't know. Nobody came up to me and says, hey, aren't you?
You still voted in Farmington?
I voted in Farmington Hills today. Yeah, I've never changed my voting registration. Yeah. So I had to do it early this morning because of the radio show tonight. The polls will be closed afterwards. Yeah. But I did it. And you better too. Don't take that for granted. No excuses. We don't make excuses. We get it. We get her done. Get her done. Get her done. Anything else?